He stood on my porch, smiling like he owned the place. And in his mind, he already did. "This house is half mine," he said. "You'll be out by the end of the month." I just looked at him and smiled back, because he had no idea what was coming. By the time this story ends, he wouldn't just lose the house he was fighting for. He would lose his job, his new girlfriend, his savings, and the respect of everyone who once looked up to him. This is the story of how my ex-husband tried to take everything from me and ended up with nothing. If you love stories about karma, patience, and quiet revenge, stay until the end, because the final twist is going to shock you. My name doesn't matter for this story, so let's just call me Claire. 5 years ago, I married a man named Daniel. On paper, he looked perfect. Good job, charming smile. Always knew what to say. Everyone told me I was lucky. What nobody saw was the version of Daniel that came out behind closed doors. The small insults disguised as jokes. The way he controlled our money for my own good. The way he made big decisions about our life without ever asking me. I worked 2 jobs while he focused on his career. I paid half the bills, cooked, cleaned, and slowly disappeared into the role of someone who existed to make his life easier. Then 3 years into the marriage, we bought a house together. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. The truth was different. I was the one who used my savings for the down payment. I was the one who signed most of the loan paperwork because my credit score was better. Daniel barely contributed, but he made sure everyone believed the house was ours. Meaning his too. I didn't think much of it back then. I trusted him. That was my first mistake. 2 years later, I found out Daniel was cheating. Not once. Not with one person. He had been seeing someone from his office for almost a year, and when I confronted him, he didn't even apologize. He just said, "You were never enough for me anyway." I remember standing in our kitchen, the same kitchen I had renovated with my own money, feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. But here's the thing about pain. It can either destroy you, or it can make you sharper.
Chose sharpée.
I didn't cry in front of him. I didn't scream. I simply said, "Okay," packed a small bag, and left to stay with my sister for a few days to think clearly. During that time, I did something Daniel never expected. I got organized. I pulled every bank statement, every receipt, every document related to the house. I found the original down payment transfer, all from my personal account. I found the mortgage documents, and guess whose name carried most of the financial responsibility?
Mine.
I filed for divorce quietly, without warning him. By the time he got the papers, I already had a lawyer, a plan, and proof. He was furious. He called me nonstop, texting things like, "You can't do this, that house is half mine," and "I'll fight you for everything." That's when the real story begins. Daniel hired an aggressive divorce lawyer, the kind who advertises on billboards with slogans like, "We fight for what's yours." He was convinced that because we were legally married when the house was purchased, he was entitled to half its value, if not the house itself. What he didn't know is that I had already spoken to my own attorney months before, quietly preparing for this exact fight. My lawyer explained something Daniel's expensive attorney had apparently skipped. In many places, if one spouse can clearly prove they provided the down payment and majority of mortgage payments from personal, premarital, or individually earned funds, courts can take that into serious consideration when dividing property, especially when there's a clear paper trail. And I had a paper trail a mile long. Daniel's lawyer sent an aggressive letter first, demanding 50% of the house's value or a forced sale. I remember reading it and actually laughing because it was clear they hadn't checked their facts before threatening me. My lawyer responded with something simple but devastating, a full financial breakdown showing that Daniel had contributed less than 15% of the total money that went into that house over 3 years. 15%, not 50. Suddenly, Daniel's confident lawyer wasn't so confident anymore. But Daniel wasn't ready to give up. This is where things got interesting. He started telling mutual friends that I was being greedy and vindictive, trying to build a narrative before we even got close to a courtroom. He wanted public sympathy. What he didn't count on was that most of our friends already knew about his affair, and stories travel fast in small social circles. Instead of gaining sympathy, Daniel gained a reputation. People started distancing themselves from him. His new girlfriend, the one he cheated with, suddenly found herself receiving cold looks at office gatherings once people realized what she had been part of. Meanwhile, Daniel made a decision that would cost him everything. He decided to stop paying his share of remaining shared bills, assuming it would pressure me into settling quickly. He thought I would panic and hand him money just to make it go away. I didn't panic. I simply documented every missed payment as further proof of his lack of financial contribution, and I sent it straight to my lawyer. 3 months into the process, Daniel's lawyer requested a private meeting to discuss a settlement. My lawyer and I walked in with a folder containing 3 years of bank statements, mortgage records, renovation receipts, every single one under my name. We placed it on the table and said just one sentence: "Show us his equivalent contribution." Silence. Daniel's lawyer flipped through his own client's file and reportedly turned to Daniel afterward and asked why he hadn't disclosed the real financial details from the beginning. Daniel had told his own attorney a version of events that wasn't fully true, hoping the paperwork wouldn't be checked closely.
It was.
Here's where karma really started working. Daniel's job was in finance, a field where reputation and trust matter enormously. During the divorce proceedings, word started spreading in his industry about the affair, the public arguments, and now, allegations from his own legal team about inconsistent financial disclosures. A workplace investigation was launched, not because of the divorce itself, but because some of the same creative financial explanations he gave his lawyer bore a strange resemblance to irregularities auditors had noticed in his expense reports at work. Within weeks, Daniel was placed on leave pending investigation. Then came the final blow. He was let go entirely. The court ultimately ruled in my favor. Because I could prove the overwhelming majority of financial contribution came from me, and Daniel could not prove otherwise, the house was awarded to me in full, with Daniel receiving a smaller settlement reflecting only his actual contribution, not the 50% he demanded. He walked into that courtroom expecting to take my house. He walked out with almost nothing. I still live in that house today. I repainted the walls. I changed the furniture. I turned Daniel's old office into a small reading room, the kind of space I always wanted but never had permission to create when we were together. Sometimes people ask me if I feel guilty about how things turned out for him. I don't. I never set out to destroy his life. He did that himself, one dishonest decision at a time. All I did was refuse to be pushed around, and I made sure the truth had proof behind it. The lesson in all of this isn't about revenge. It's about preparation. It's about knowing your worth, keeping your paperwork in order, and never assuming someone else will protect your future for you. Daniel thought charm and confidence would win him a house he never truly paid for. What he forgot is that courts don't rule on confidence. They rule on evidence. And I had all the evidence in the world. So that's the story of how my ex-husband tried to take my house and ended up losing his job, his relationship, and the case itself. If there's one thing to take from this, it's this: staying calm and staying prepared will always beat someone who relies on noise and threats. You don't need to fight loud. You just need to fight smart. If this story kept you hooked until the end, you're going to love the next one too. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories like this, hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and drop a comment telling me what part shocked you the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.